Hello, everybody. This is Shelley Pumphrey with Trilogy Holistic Mental Health, and I am really excited to introduce our newest nutritionist, holistic health person, and registered dietitian, Talia Adler. Talia, welcome to Trilogy. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you, Shelley. Excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I always like to do with our new employees is to do a little bit of an interview to get to know you and introduce people to your services and just your general treatment philosophy and background. So we're just going to dig into a few questions here and let people have a chance to get to know you and what you're here to offer to our clients at Trilogy.
Sounds great.
So, yeah. So let's start with just tell me a little bit about yourself, like your education, your experience, and what it is that you'll be doing here at Trilogy.
So I am a registered dietitian. I have education in dietetics and also psychology, and I'm also doing some continuing education with more holistic medicine and ancient practices like Chinese traditional medicine and Ayurveda medicine. Um, and a lot of questions that I get is how does nutrition fit into a mental health practice? So we know that the body and the mind work together. We're one tightly integrated complex system in which everything that happens in the body also happens in the brain and vice versa. So this means that diet can have a profound effect on our whole system. So what we eat provides the nutrients that we need not only to survive, but also to thrive. And the quality of our diet is linked to so many diseases and disorders, and including mental health. And I actually just read a study that showed that participants that followed a Mediterranean-like diet for just 3 weeks saw a significant reduction in depression, anxiety, and also stress. Um, so this is why a nutrition can have a really powerful effect, not only on our bodies, but also on our minds and our mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it was really important for me to bring you on board here because I know from personal experience I went through like when I really started digging into nutrition and changing the way I ate and looking at that mind body connection that it changed my entire mood, my clarity of thinking, my energy, just helped my body in so many ways. But it was very connected. So, and we have such a holistic approach here that a lot of people don't realize that the way that our gut is, or like if there's inflammation or um, you know, other things going on in our body, that it can actually have an impact on our mental health. So I'm glad that you answered that question about how does nutrition fit into a mental health practice. It's really important. So can you tell me a little bit more about like what are some of the things you work on with clients that help with physical health, but also our mental health?
Yeah, definitely. So um, just to respond what you said, this is also how I got into nutrition, just for my own personal experience with my own mental and physical health, and just to see how powerful that nutrition can have on all of those things that you were talking about. But yeah, so we focus a lot on gut health. And so there's the gut brain axis, which is where our digestive system and our brain are constantly communicating with each other. And actually, our gut bacteria or our microbiome regulate some of our neurotransmitter production and activity. So actually, 90% of our serotonin is made in our gut. Our gut also is important for inflammation and stress hormones, many other metabolic factors. So this is something that I work on with everybody. Um, Another thing that I work on is blood sugar regulation. So a lot of people don't realize that they have an issue with this, and they don't realize the profound effect that it has on our entire well-being. So it can contribute to symptoms of anxiety or panic, or even poor concentration, sleep issues like insomnia or fatigue, brain fog, depression, and also, just more of the classic symptoms that we think of, like weight gain and food cravings and poor immune function, things like that. We also focus on adrenal fatigue, which is something that's caused by chronic stress. So we not only talk about the physical stressors in our life, but we also want to um, address the emotional stressors in our life and make sure that we're just addressing it from all sides. Um, Also, inflammation and oxidative stress has been shown to be associated with mental health issues, and diet can be a really big source of inflammation on the body and the brain, but it can also be anti-inflammatory. So that's something that we focus on. We also talk about hormonal imbalances, so whether it's insulin or cortisol or thyroid or sex hormones, we always want to try to get to the root cause of whatever is causing our physical and mental symptoms.
Awesome. And I mean, there's so much that you do. There are a couple things that you mentioned that I wanted to just say a quick thing. Like in my experience, like, like talking about blood sugar, for example, and you were talking about how it can often have symptoms of anxiety or panic. And, we specialize in working with anxiety and post-traumatic stress here at Trilogy. And one of the things I often ask people when they're having panic attacks or a lot of anxiety is, especially with a panic attack, to go back and look at, had you eaten, had you just had 2 cups of coffee and no food, and it was like 2 in the afternoon and your blood sugar drops? Because often what happens is that people haven't been eating and their blood sugar is spiking or dropping, and it can have the same physical effects that feel like a panic attack. And sometimes people don't understand that what is a blood sugar type thing is actually like that's actually the issue, when it's not like you actually have panic disorder, you're having panic attacks. It could be stopped if you just learn to balance your blood sugar. So this is a great
Yeah,
example of why
definitely.
it's so good to have you here.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So one other question I want to ask, and I think sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to work with a nutritionist. She's going to make me go on a diet, or it's going to be hard. Could you talk a little bit about how you work with clients and help them implement these kinds of changes?
Yeah, definitely. So something that I do is I take a non-diet approach. So I help you implement healthy foods and lifestyle practices into your life in a realistic and attainable way. So we work step by step to find what works for you and what fits into your lifestyle. So I don't prescribe people a diet. We all have tried diets and they don't work long term. The reason for this is because they're so rigid and they're restrictive, and they cause us to feel deprived, and we can't live our life in the way that we want to. Um, so instead of a diet, I encourage balance and flexibility. And in this way, we can work in an individualized way and find what works for you. And we go according to your pace. So usually when it comes to lifestyle habits, instead of just adding everything in at once, we work slowly and slowly add in things one at a time until they become habits.
That's awesome. That feels a lot easier to break down and easier to implement change and be more successful over time.
Yeah, definitely. This is something that is really important in what I do. Is I try to set my clients up for success. I don't want to give you unrealistic goals that are too hard, or um, change your life in too many ways. So definitely setting yourself up for success is really important.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So, can you just give me a quick little rundown of like what, if somebody wants to meet with you, what does it look like? And I know you also offer some other like lab tests and assessments like that that might be helpful for people to know. Can you give us a little bit
Yeah.
more detail on that?
Yeah, so if you want to book a 20-minute free consultation call, we can speak about your goals and what you're looking for, and I can tell you a little bit more about what I can do and how I can help you. And then if we see that we're a good fit, then we can schedule a 90-minute initial session. And usually I give you an intake form, and this is just a way for me to learn a little bit about you and about what's going on in your body and the different things that we can work on together. And then each session after that is usually 30 minutes or an hour, depending on what you prefer and what's going on. Um, if you want to dig deeper, we can always do some additional testing. So, some people have hormonal issues, so we can do hormonal testings. It includes cortisol or sex hormones and also melatonin if you have some sleep issues. We can do testing to see if you have micronutrient deficiencies. So a lot of times, it's not only about what we eat, but it's about is our body working properly to absorb and digest and assimilate all the nutrients that we're eating. Um, and if not, then we often find that we have deficiencies that can lead to a variety of physical and mental symptoms. We can also do stool testing if somebody is having a lot of digestive issues, or even things like brain fog or fatigue or mood swings. These are all things that can be caused by different microbiome imbalances. And so the stool test can see where the problem is. Do you have candida? Do you have parasites? Just gives us a little bit more information so that we can um, more specifically target what's going on. There's also some people that have issues with gluten. So whether it's celiac disease or just a sensitivity to gluten, actually, I think it's only 10% of the people that have, don't quote me on the percentage, but a small percentage of the people that have sensitivity to gluten have digestive issues. A lot of the time it shows in the skin or
Mm-hmm.
in the brain as like mental health issues or just
Mm-hmm.
poor concentration, um, different things like that. So that's also something that we can test for if we suspect that there's an issue with that.
Great. There's so many things to dig into here.
Yeah.
Well, Talia, I'm so excited to have you here. I know that you bring a wealth of experience and knowledge and um, just passion about this to Trilogy. So I hope that people decide to give you a little look and see what they can do with their mind, body, and spirit connection and their healing journey here with your services.
Yeah, me too. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, Shelly.
thank you. All right.